is January 18th, 2025, and we are at 2587 Ballethnic Way, East Point, Georgia, and we're about to talk about the history, the legacy of Ballethnic for 35 years. We are joined in person with our Ballethnic community. We're streaming live on Facebook. We're streaming live on Instagram. We're being recorded by Mr. Greg. We are documenting and preserving our history. I'm joined here today by founders and co-founders and co-directors, Mr. Waverly Lucas, Miss Nena Gilreath, and our very own Dr. Teresa Howard. My name is Dr. Shady Radical, and I am the company archivist here at Ballethnic Dance Company and Academy, and we'll just get started. So, first question is, Mr. Waverly, this was your idea to have a podcast. Can you tell us a little bit about why we're here today?
Okay. Well, much of the reason, the whole idea of a podcast is to be able to share information that I feel is vital to our community. I think our messages have to be put in place in front of our young people so that they know the different stories, the different paths that we've taken, so that then when they start to nurture their own and to create their own journeys, they have at least a base, a foundation, knowing where it's possible, what the possibilities are. One of the things is particularly for this podcast, it came out of basically Dr. Shady Radical, talking with her about just her love for history and archiving and, what she calls it, conserving, That's important because we often, our history just goes away. Like Jimi Hendrix said, like sandcastles on the beach, they just fade away. And if you weren't there and you didn't see it, it's gone. And you think that what is right now is all there was. And that's something I think it's detrimental to our young people's understanding of how innovation works. That basically there's so much that has been done already. And if they know that, then they can build on that and not just simply replicate. And so that's the whole idea about this podcast. I wanted to really be able to tell the Ballethnic Way story in many different ways, from many different people, from a community of people that makes it happen, from the very littlest one to the older ones, more seasoned. So that's what it is.
I want to add to that. So Ballethnic started January 15th, 1990, and it was a little idea coming from dancers. We came here to dance with the Atlanta Ballet, and once we were here, we needed to make an impact. So what better way than to start something that really showcases who we are as a people? So originally, we wanted Louis Johnson, the choreographer of The Wiz, to start a black company in Atlanta, and he was with Dr. Richard Long, who they both long passed away, but when we sat with them, we said, we'll dance for free because we knew about dance. But Louis Johnson said he was too old, that we were young and ready for the journey. So we reluctantly started that journey, at least from my perspective, because I didn't know what the road was ahead. And we were able to meet Moselle Spriggs at Spelman College, and Mrs. Spriggs was such a gracious acceptor of the challenge and taught us all the base level things that we needed to know, including giving us our first jobs at Spelman College so that we would have an income to support ourselves after leaving the Atlanta Ballet. And there are a lot of other branches of that story. But in 1990, as you might imagine, the world was very different. So the people that are younger, you probably couldn't imagine a world without the internet. There was no internet. So everything we did was very manually. We had floppy disks, so we had to type on a word processor. We were not computer literate, but we were starting this business and trying to communicate without the tools or learning tools beyond the stage. So everything was different. The business community, though, especially the Black leaders in the community, like Bill Sharp, Esther Silver Parker,
Wilma Cordy from Delta.
Cordy. There were so many people that wanted to see this dream come alive. I'm looking back because President Carter, we just had his funeral a little while ago, and there was this big project that was happening where he was making a great impact after being the president, in which he provided funds for communities to grow. And luckily, Ballethnic, we were able to write a very short proposal, and sometimes when you're looking for money, proposals are not easy, but it was a little one-pager. And we were able to write this proposal, which became the Buddy Project. And that's how we ended up meeting Dr. Teresa Howard. Dr. Howard brought her daughter Nabila, who's also doing great things in the community, and her family to one of the classes at the Alpha Center. So the Alphas owned a building over in East Point, which is now KIPP Academy. And we were teaching a little dance class that was funded, and Nabila was one of the first students. We met lovely Dr. Howard and found out that she teaches African dance and so many other things. So I think I could tag Dr. Howard because she's here with us still now in the new world, Ballethnic.
Yeah, Ballethnic was at Piedmont Park, and they were doing an excerpt of Leopard Tale. Yeah, in Piedmont Park. And my husband and I, we saw it, and I said, this is what I'm used to. I want to know these people. And he said, well, Teresa, let's go backstage when it's over. And the awesome journey began from Piedmont Park all the way to the Alpha Center, all the way here on Ballethnic, Cheney Street to Ballethnic Way. An awesome journey. And this journey, if I may, is rooted in all of the values that we have here as individuals, here at Ballethnic. It's rooted in the morals that we have here. It's rooted in the fact that our students come first. The people in the community come first. We value our elders. They come first. So this is just a phenomenal place, home. You heard of people in our audience call it home. It's home. It's a community. It's a place where we don't look at an individual in any type of way that is negative. It doesn't matter what they look like. It doesn't matter how small, how large, how tall, how dark, how light, what their hair looks like. It doesn't matter what ability that they have, because I am here to attest to the fact that Ballethnic has worked consistently with many, many, many students here of abilities that you would not even believe. There's no one set, picturesque person here at Ballethnic. And I say that after being here for how many years now?
Oh my goodness.
30
at
Plus,
least.
30.
Yeah.
32
Yeah.
those years. And Miss Layla, my daughter as well, so Nabila, Miss Layla, my youngest son Ali, they've all come through Ballethnic and taken classes and performed.
And now their leadership.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So y'all talked a little bit about the 35-year history here at Ballethnic and the values and morals. Can we talk more about the Ballethnic Way? What is the Ballethnic Way on Ballethnic Way?
Yeah.
Well, my idea of when I say the Ballethnic Way, I think it's a way that is greater than merely the act of dancing. It's greater than merely the act of performing. It's carrying over certain standards from our performance, our dancing, into the way we treat life itself, the way we cherish life, the way we cherish our community, the way we share with our community, and the way we care for our community. So in my estimation, that's what the Ballethnic Way is a reflection of.
And I can add to that. For me, the Ballethnic Way is about leadership. So as we know, in the world that we sit today, when the leadership feels askew, we all feel a little bit unstable, right? So for us as young dancers, I'm an oldest child. I'm a big sister, and I think that pretty much I've always been a boss. So over time, what does boss mean? It evolves. It evolves in how you influence others to help you get something done. And so I think over the years, I've improved with that by always listening and feeling intuitively what's happening around me and conducting myself accordingly. So the Ballethnic Way is very much versed in that, in gathering people that cherish and share those same values and display those values. And I will say with 35 years of Ballethnic, when we've thrived with a little money, a whole lot of money for us, it's always been about the people and how they've conducted and shared what our values are, as Dr. Teresa said. So when it's felt off, it's because people didn't have the same allegiance to the things that we believe and hold dear and true and sacred to how we conduct ourselves. We have always used dance as a vehicle to make the world better. It started out in Atlanta, here locally, and then it expanded to nationally, and now it's a global trend for us. So we believe that we're better together, and just the formal training of dance can pull us together in terms of we set a goal, it has a timeline, it has planning. We all contribute to the success, we all contribute to how we get there, and that is why we have very, very strong bonds, and we help one another. And it's not just in the studios, it's outside of the studios when we've had major life changes or crises. We've helped each other because we have this bond. So the Ballethnic Way is being better all the time, checking ourselves, putting ourselves in order, sometimes checking other people when it feels uncomfortable. And I'm one of, I would say, the lead checkers. And then anytime I check myself first to make sure I'm in order. So the Ballethnic Way is very important. At this time in the history of Ballethnic, the Ballethnic Way for me is to share and to unload everything I know to the people, the younger generation, so they can move forward a little bit better with a little bit more ease than we did, to inform and to help them know how we've gotten to the place that they were, especially the young leaders that are here now that are alumni. They were here, but they were children. So now many things that they experienced that might have felt stern or harsh or loving, a lot of loving, but we're baby boomers, so we definitely did things a certain way. But I think they understood better. We have to have guidelines to get to goals, right? We have to have a pattern. And sometimes we can erase some of the lines of the pattern, but always remembering what the ultimate goal is, to do it with love, with harmony, with peace, and in excellence.
And we're guided via a discipline of balance. Mind, body, spirit, psyche. And we're guided from a discipline of sustainability, sustaining oneself, the community, and everyone we teach and everyone that comes in and out of these doors, and that remits itself into that formal leadership, which is absolutely important and is something that has to grow over time, and has done that really very successfully over time. Balance.
Thank you for that. I'm thinking about the street name, right? The Ballethnic Way. What was the most exciting part, or most challenging part, or the most memorable part of the process of the street name change?
Well, for me, a lot of the street name, I was away actually, and so I wasn't here for it. Nena actually, ironically, was here more for that and dealt more with that, and the Ballethnic supporters as far as our Ballethnic parents Some of the students came to actually celebrate in that. And so I would watch it from the videos and from the photos and everything. And it was just fascinating to me, but I don't know if I ever really believed it would happen, And, I mean, Chris told us, Chris Swain, who's here from City of East Point. But he assured us, but you never know. I'm one that I don't get too high or too low. And so that way it keeps me in the right place. And so when the reality happened and the children's reaction, the little kids, oh man, that did it for me. It was like, they hyped me up so I couldn't believe. I wanted to, that's why with all you saw when I did for Christmas, the lights and everything, all the decorations, because they hyped me up when I saw how excited they were. And people would ask me, were you excited? And I wasn't excited, really. It was like, okay, but then when I saw their little faces just beaming, and looking at the sign, when I see them looking at the sign saying, that's us, Ballethnic Way, that was everything for me.
I think when you plant a seed, it's really wonderful to realize that seed has sprouted and it's taken root. And that's what happened for me. We've been saying a long time that we wanted this area where we are to be a campus. And so we kept saying, the Ballethnic Way, wouldn't it be great if we had a street, if this whole street was named Ballethnic Way? So what I would say and share again with the next generation leadership is that you have to have allies. You have to be in the community. You have to know people. At one point, we used to go regularly to the East Point City Council meetings, and we were really big supporters of our mayor, back to back to back, Patsy Jo Hilliard. So we kind of understood how local government works. So we started to put that word out there. We need our street name. We're a legacy organization. We've been here very long. Obviously, we're not going away, and that took root. And then as Waverly said, Chris Swain did a lot of work, the leg work that it takes. And then our community came in. It got on the books for zoning, and there was a vote. And we had a lot of our Ballethnic people fill the mayor and the council chambers for the day of the vote. We were all filled up. People we didn't even know were there. And it was so exciting. And, it takes a long time, a lot of thought, a lot of discussion. And at one point, I think they were going to try to table the vote, but then our community was like, oh no. And then luckily, our mayor, Nena Holiday Ingram, was like, no, we're going to do this vote. And then our council people at the time, Lance Robertson and Sharon Shropshire, they spoke up and they knew the community was behind it. We've been here. We've enhanced the community. We've brought positive things to the community and also economic development. There was a time that everybody wasn't clamoring to come to East Point, but we were here and we stayed, so I feel like that made an impact. So the vote pushed through, and Chris did all that lovely work with the sign and all, and on June 29th this year, Ballethnic Way was revealed, and we're here, and that's planting another seed that in the future we will have the expanded, renovated Ballethnic Way, the whole campus, and we'll blow out this building and expand it. We have designs from Perkins and Will that are sitting. They're tabled right now, and as we continue to grow our infrastructure so that we will have the capacity to hire the team to work on the capital campaign, we'll move forward. So, we're young at our young elder stage, so hopefully we'll continue to have the energy and the health to get the campus done. At this point, really, for me, the motivation is our succession, that it's nice, it's smooth, and it's strong, and that it works in a very natural, organic way.
Introduced me to the late Ratcliffe Bailey for our logo for Urban Nutcracker. And Ratcliffe, it was at the time where he got shot, and he in the train station, and so he then responsibly made sure that we had coverage for that. So he got his friend Kevin Sipp to do it, and Kevin Sipp painted our original designed our original Nutcracker image of Marcus Garvey, Garveyite Nutcracker. So that's a major history.
So that's the exclusive, just the in-person audience got that. Now it's y'all responsibility to go and share it with your community.
But I want to add to that because Ballethnic is 35 today, and when I look back and reflect on those that were so generous, like Mr. Sharp from Sharp Advertising, that had an expertise that transcend all communities, because he was a big creator for Coca-Cola. The fact that we're so lucky to be a part of the generation where our senior community members embraced us and taught us so much. Because when we started Ballethnic, we were 25. And we were young. We didn't know all the things beyond dancing or beyond the stage. So when we moved to Atlanta, there were so many people that embraced us in the business community and taught us all the things that we didn't know beyond ballet and the artistic and technical aspect of that. So it was a really huge learning curve for us. And the fact that once someone like Bill Sharp came on board, then other community members embraced us because they respected him. And it was really just the beginning of marketing for us, because we worked in other larger entities where we didn't have to worry about marketing. We moved here from dancing with the Dance Theater of Harlem. So of course our job was to be on stage and perform and to learn and to perform. When we moved here, we danced with the Atlanta Ballet, and we were a part of a whole task force in which blacks in the community, black leaders, wanted to diverse and make the Atlanta Ballet look like what the community was. And so many leaders, once Bill was like, I'm gonna help you, I'm gonna move you forward, they came on board. So that was a big jump for us. We had no idea what marketing was and how that was going to be the thing to bring audiences to us. And once you have somebody like that talking, then his influence just pulled in an array of other business leaders, which we could go through the names. There are so many are retired, some are gone now, but well respected. We don't have that kind of level of support at this time because the world has really shifted. And I feel like that mentorship doesn't necessarily exist in the same way in this moment. But that's why many times when I say I'm really happy and glad that we developed and created Ballethnic during the time that we did, because that was a part of the world that has shifted so dramatically. And we know with the things that we see in the news, like all the things that are reverting back, that if we started a Ballethnic at this point, it might not be possible to get to 35 years. So we were born in the right time and the right space to create and to impact and to leave a legacy of something that our next generation can take and make even greater.
For me, this was very close to my heart and personal, because many years ago, when my daughter Layla, Nabila, when they were little children here at Ballethnic, my husband, my ancestor husband, and a few of the other fathers, male figures that were here at Ballethnic would get together, like the barbershop talk thing. They would get together. They were the official, unofficial security guards, pick up people, make sure the place was safe, that kind of stuff, pick up trash and all that kind of stuff. They talked about this decades ago. And my husband said, and those ancestor gentlemen talked about, Ballethnic needs to own this whole street. This needs to be called Ballethnic Street. This has got to be Ballethnic Street. So this root, this seed, started so many years ago, soon after we moved over here, which used to be called Shady Street, soon after we moved over here. So yes, dreams do come true.
Yes. One of the things sustainable plans for the company and the community. At the Radical Archive of Preservation, we're thinking of creative ways to preserve our intangible embodied knowledge. And one of those ways is by building connections across global communities. I want to talk a little bit about our experiences in Tanzania. And starting 2 years ago, we started to travel to Tanzania, to Bagamoyo, Tanzania, which is a very small fishing village town on the east coast of Africa. This is a very post-colonial town, so there's a lot of Portuguese influences and German influences. They are a Swahili-speaking people with Swahili culture, and we've built this relationship with a dance community there called Bagamoyo Africulture. Now this community and this relationship has grown, and I want to just start the conversation because this will be a much longer conversation, but can we at least start the conversation about our relationship there? And we can start anywhere.
Okay, let's start with how we got there. Interestingly, I had already planned, I'm going to Africa. I had been working with, from the Irish Royal Academy of Music and Dance at the University of Limerick, where I completed my master's in ethnochoreology. I worked with the ethnomusicologist who was working on his PhD, and he was Ghanaian. And so we had plans to go to Ghana and work and do things there, but the pandemic hit. And so when we came out of the pandemic, I was adamant about continuing that. I didn't know how to make it happen. I was like, I knew what I wanted to do when I had that opportunity. Move a little further back or further forward. Dance USA had a grant for archiving. This was the reason I wanted to study ethnochoreology and not get a degree in dance or anything like that. I had already done it. Why am I don't need validation in that. What I need to know is how to continue to share the message of Ballethnic in the Ballethnic way. And so Dance USA put us together after I wrote the grant and received it. Now was putting together who would be our archivists that would work with us. And that ended up being Dr. Shady Radical. And they said they thought we would be a great match, but they had no idea that our match. It was the real deal, And so Dr. Shady Radical, she was doing things already. She had been to Bagamoyo and everything. And I was telling her what my plan was at one point, and then she said, hold on, Tanzania. She kept mentioning Tanzania. Okay, we had been to West Africa, but not East Africa. Only Dr. Teresa had been, she's been everywhere. But,
Yes, everywhere.
Yeah, but this was new for us, and so it was like, okay, I know I'm down for this. It was convincing Nena. I was like, I knew it from just when we were in Senegal. I was like, okay, and so that's where I kind of reached out to Dr. Teresa. I was like, Teresa, you can convince her to do it. And so Dr. Teresa worked on her, and then I had already assured Dr. Shady that I'm on. In the first year, I was there for a month, and it was a wonderful month. We did so much. I'll let Nena and Dr.
Well, for me, I was like, when Shady started talking about Bagamoyo, I was like, not me. You can count me off your list because I'm not going. I am a homebody, really. I like to be at home, period. And when they said a long plane trip, traveling a day, and as Waverly said, we went to West Africa, and there were no comforts of home. And I like to sleep in my bed, all the things that we take for granted, a really hot shower after a long day when you're very dirty and stinky. So I was like, okay, and then I'm a finicky eater, and then being outside. I like to be outside, but those flies, it was just a whole lot of stuff. So I was like, not me, not me, not me, all the way to the last moment. But then when Dr. Teresa expressed a little bit of interest, I said, well, I like Dr. Teresa very, very much. I'm only going if she goes. And so once she said she would go, even though I like Dr. Shady a lot too, but I know she's used to traveling a lot. So when Dr. Teresa said she would go, I was like, okay, I'll go. I don't want to stay as long as Waverly. That's way too long. And I know Mama, Dr. Teresa, we've traveled together in the States, and we're kind of like calm. I know she's calm. We kind of share that we can work things out. We're not complainers. So when you're traveling really far, you need to know that you've got good company. Waverly's more easygoing, so when things are like a little off, he's like, it's okay until I have to pitch a little fit, and then he'll like work with me. So I knew Dr. Teresa would be
I
perfect.
slept in the airport for several days, no problem.
That's a problem for me.
But
Yeah.
I wouldn't have done it with her.
No.
Wouldn't have been an option.
No, even in the States when we've traveled on tours and little hotels that are kind of crazy, we've moved like 3 or 4 times. Not that I'm like that prima donna like that, but sleep is very important to me. And I'm a high functioner, and I know that I'm able to function highly when I get my sleep. And I like to be, if I'm supposed to do something, I like to do it well. And I know sleep is key and paramount. So Dr. Teresa said yes. When she said yes, I'm like, okay. Yeah.
My children told me, because they know I travel, I love to travel. And so they said, well, who you going with? And I told them, and then they said, oh, is Miss Nena going? I said, well, I'm not sure yet. And then they said to me, knowing that I go all over, like, why are you doing this to your mother? They said, well, I really think you need to travel with somebody. So, you kind of work on Miss Nena. I think you really need to travel. So I told Mr. Waverly what they said, and then we did. We worked on it, and Miss Nena said, yeah. I was like, cool, yay, we're ready to go. Because I love culture, and I love traditions, and I love to dance, and I love to teach, and I love to educate, and I love to learn. So, I love getting ingrained in the culture. I'm not one of those touristy people. You'll never see me with a suitcase full of any high-heeled shoes. You'll never see it on me. You'll never see that, because I don't go like that. So I was so excited, and then I was excited to learn that it's not Tanzania, it's called Tanzania. I never knew that. Tanzania. So thanks to Dr. Shady, who so well knew the ins and outs.
Yes.
I mean, the ins and outs and ups and downs of things. I mean, I don't know where we would be if it wasn't for her. We were over there. Because every aspect, she dived in and she negotiated. It's a lot. It's huge.
Yeah, and so I would like to wrap up this first conversation about building these strategies. I've been traveling to Tanzania for about 10 years now. I've been volunteering there with acupuncture, with artists who make like crafts and stuff, with Swahili speakers of all different ages. But it wasn't until Ballethnic introduced me to International Association of Blacks in Dance, IABD, where we started to find other ways of sustainability and build partnerships. So through a grant with IABD, they granted us X amount of dollars. We were able to not only establish a summer arts festival program with a week long of workshops, preservation workshops, dance workshops, ballet workshops, costume making workshops, writing workshops, a host of different workshops, but also an art center. So there is an art center that has been funded through this grant in Bagamoyo right now. So there's a place that you can go and meet these people, real life people. And this organization has been together for about 15 years, but they've never had a place. They have been rehearsing and practicing in the back of restaurants, places where people have donated them this space. But it was through this partnership that we were able to give them some actual tangible land and a space. So that is one. Other things that we've done through this partnership is build a garden.
Yeah, we have a community garden there.
Can we talk a little bit about the things that we have been able to
Yes.
do at Waverly Agriculture?
Yeah, well, I always talk about the sharing and caring, the giving and the taking. And I think that's what it was. It became two communities that were evenly yoked in spirit. And so with that, there were certain things that we had and we could provide that could make their lives easier. One of the things we noticed was the community garden. You know, and for me, with my love of gardening, I know that's an essential part of life for people. So the spirit of the life is to be able to grow your own food and have your own food source. You know, and so that was one of the things that, the first things, you know, being there a month, I was like, we have to do this. And so that's something that we did. The other was the whole project, the ballet project that we were able to do, fundamentals of ballet. And building actually portable bars there, you know, for them so that they would have bars and understand. Dr. Shady got the socks for them and everything so that they, you know, because the tendu, your feet, you're using your feet differently in ballet from the African dance, traditional dances. And so these were the things primarily that we invested in, because what my thing is we have to get away from thinking we donate and then it's over. No, we invest in what we find needs to be sustainable. And if we don't invest in it, it will go away like so much of what we've had in our communities. And so if you don't go away with anything else, go away with the fact that we invest in what means something to us. And so let's always keep that in mind. We're investing in what's best for us.
So I love Tanzania. Being the big naysayer, it was one of the most beautiful experiences for me. It was really life-changing. Ballethnic, we've always valued dance, music, community. Those are our pillars of what we stand upon and build upon. And you'll see that a little bit later as we celebrate 35 years through music today with our Associate Artistic Director, Adam McKnight. But the music and dance are beautiful components of what we do and how we build upon the success of Ballethnic. So in Tanzania, we were able to learn drumming and songs and Swahili, and it was just really nice to sing the songs. And the language, yes, build drums as well. The language is such a song, like to say thank you is Santi Sana, you're welcome is Caribou. So we learned many different words, and the people are so generous. So when we built the garden or donated a very small amount, it was a field that was outside of the building that was full of trash and other things. It was just, it was a field that was not being utilized. And with the small amount we all donated, it's probably like our coffee money, potato chip money. We went away for a few days and we came back. The field was cleared and they had built a thatched fence around the field and started the makings of the garden. And each of us have a little plaque that says Baba Waverly, Ms. Nena, Mama Teresa, Dr. Shady. So we have our own little part of the garden, and when we went back the second year, we could see how they had grown okra, papaya, all these things, and the children from after school now could come after school and have a snack and be fed. So for us, it fed our spirit, because we take so many things for granted here, like clean water. They don't have the water like we have that you can just drink. We choose to drink bottled water, but we don't have to. But in other places, they don't have that choice. So I think from being my naysaying self and wanting to be at home, expanding my horizon really just made me a better citizen of the world. And I look forward to future travels and learning and taking those things that we know, because, you know, we're all descendants. Learning and reconnecting with those things has helped me to really recommit to the work that we do.
Yeah, did you want to add anything, Dr. Teresa?
Well, that was very, very, very holistic. It just, you know, I said that thing about dreams, you know, I love to dream, and I'm dreaming on being back there real soon, in just a few more months.
Yes, yes. So
Dr. Teresa was one of the first ones to ride on the, what was it, the Biggie.
The motorcycle.
Yes, she was the first one to get on it. We were kind of like, oh, wait.
I wasn't on the motorcycle.
Mr. Waverly was.
Yeah, I did
And
eventually.
Whitney.
Yeah.
So as we wrap this up, again, this is just the beginning of a longer conversation. We imagine this to be a space where you can listen to this on Spotify or your different Audible devices or anything like that. We'll continue having this conversation, and we actually would like to see and hear your voices too. So look forward to more correspondence about joining our community conversation. And again, thank you for joining us on the Ballethnic Way Podcast.